With me today is Dawood Rogers. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Now we're speaking some Arabic here, so and it's kind of obvious, even though we've got these big beards, that we're not a part of ZZ Top or or the Amish. So let's talk about your bridge to faith. Where did you start out?
Well, I'm from Eugene, Oregon originally. I was born in Eugene.
That's the northwest part of the United States.
Pacific Northwest, yeah.
Specifically the Pacific.
Specifically the Pacific.
That's easy for you to say. All right, now, let's ask the question. Now, did you start out as a Muslim? Is that how you started out? Or?
No, I was raised in a Catholic family, actually, and I grew up, you know, practicing Catholicism, going to church every Sunday with my parents and this type of thing. But just as a young man, I started searching, you know, as a rebellious young American youth. I started looking into everything and having your own mind and being rebellious against everything. And so I just didn't feel anything really for the church. So I started searching, you know, I said to myself, like, let's see what everybody else believes in the world. So actually, I was quite, being from Southern Oregon and everything in that area, it's quite a beautiful environmental place. It's a lot of beautiful mountains and trees, and I very much was attached to the environment in the outdoors. And so I started, you know, looking into what was being done to the earth, you know, environmentally, and it really disturbed me. I saw some of the political ramifications of that and such that, you know, corporations were basically exploiting the reserves of the forests and such and cutting them down, and it really disturbed me. I wanted to live a natural lifestyle, and so me and some friends, we were into horses, and we used to ride in the mountains and camp out and such. And after high school, we said, why don't we move out onto a piece of land and live this natural lifestyle that we want to live, an alternative lifestyle, you know, as you would, you know. So I basically became a hippie in a way. I had long hair, and, you know, I had a horse. I had no car.
Now, did you have this big beard?
I had a big beard, yeah. I had a full beard probably as a senior in high school.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, and that was probably fairly unusual, you know, but I was really different anyway in the way I was thinking and in the way I was heading.
Mashallah.
So we moved out onto a piece of land and started living this you know, natural lifestyle. And
when you're off in solitude like that, and there's time for reflection, what types of things goes through your mind as regards belief or faith or God or things like that? Does anything come up?
Of course, you know, I mean, being in a really serene environment where it's silent and it's beautiful, it reminds you of God's creation. And your mind clears up a lot, too. You kind of start thinking clearly. It's hard to explain, but if you spend a lot of time out in a quiet, solitude kind of a place, you start, you know, hearing more of your own inner voice almost. You start thinking clearly, and you start remembering God. And I always believed in God. I mean, it wasn't that I, you know, absolutely ever stopped believing God. I always knew there was a God, raised as a Catholic. I just didn't quite understand, you know, the way that they understood it. I just didn't, you know, I needed to find my own path and what I believed in. And so I started reading, and I started searching. You know, like I said, what does everybody else in the world believe, you know? So
you looked at different religions.
I looked at different religions.
What are some of the religions you looked at?
Well, being into horses and being close to nature, I was very attracted to the American Indians' religion, actually, you know, of trying to live in peace and harmony with your Creator, and, you know, viewing the creation as your brother, kind of, and this type of thing. And I spent some time with some Indian medicine men. We used to go into the sweat lodge and stuff like this, and I really was, you know, looking into what they believed in and what were they practicing, and I would pick up anybody's book almost and read it, you know. Some friends were traveling through the airport in these Hare Krishnas giving out books at the airport. So we would, hey, all right, cool, you know, we would take anybody's book and read it. You know, I would take some of these books home, like these things, and look through them and read them and see, what does this person believe in? What do they believe in? What are they saying? What's right and what's wrong? What's yes and what's no? And sometimes you would end up completely baffled. You read the book and you think, what did I learn from that? I don't understand at all what they were talking about. It wasn't clear at all, some of these teachings. So Buddhism, Hinduism, you know, American Indians religions. I was raised a Catholic, you know, so the Bible and Judaism, anybody's religion almost I would look into. I'd listen to gurus and all kinds of stuff. Anybody who thought they were on a spiritual kind of path or something, I was open to listening to. So it turns out that there was one man amongst us who gave us a Quran, an simple English translation of a Quran, and he basically just said, "You're looking at all these books, you're reading these different books of religion. Here, read this one," with no real introduction, or no real explanation, or no real proselytizing or anything. Just, here's another book. This one's from the Muslims. It's called the Quran. It's, you know, read this one, you know. And so I started, you know, reading that book. And we used to sit around the campfire like this when we were living out in the mountains. I was living in a tent. And we used to discuss the theologies and the ideas and the concepts that we were reading about or thinking about or contemplating, you know. And we used to sit around and discuss it, you know, and share the books, you know. Hey, let me read that book when you're done. I got one for you, and, you know, let's check it out. So I read the Quran. And unlike so many of the other books I had read, it just was very straightforward and very clear and really touched my heart. When you read in the Quran, there's one creator, one God, and he needs to be worshipped alone, directly, exclusively, and that he sent all of these prophets, and that those prophets were brothers. I just sat there and nodded my head and went, yeah, okay. You know, kind of as a skeptical American almost, you read these books with, let's find out what's wrong with this book, rather than what's right. Almost like, let's see if I can find what's wrong with this book that I don't agree with. So I started reading and I was like, I agree with that. I agree with that. That makes sense. I didn't find things that I disagreed with. I found, of course, some things I didn't understand. It was just a very simplistic kind of a translation, too, of the Quran. Very, very simple and very straightforward. It was actually meant for, like, students who had to take an Islamic course in school, and it was just a, you know... But it really made sense to me, and I really believed in it, you know. It already, as I said, I already believed that there was one God and one Creator.